So, thank you everybody for attending. Those of us that are in attendance for attending this week's research seminar. Today, one of my new students, Chisomo Singogo, is going to be giving his proposal presentation. So Chisomo is he's in his second year of his Master of Science in Computer Science program. He's doing the coursework and dissertation program, Master's in Computer Science program, and details about Chisomo are available on the research group website. So if you just go under postgraduate, students and then scroll down to 2025, you will find these details. But also, I think it's worth mentioning that Chisomo is a part of. He's a part of. He's working on a project that we initiated last year. It's to do with road safety. So him along with Henry actually are working on topics related to road safety. And in fact, we're trying to go all out. We've been having a number of engagements with entities like Road Development Agency, and is it a week or 2 weeks ago, I gave a presentation at the Zambia Road Safety Trust as well. So we're looking at forging partnerships to try and see how best we can contribute to anything to do with road safety, especially as it relates to the sort of focus areas we have in the research group. So Chisom, I'm going to hand over to you, and you can do your progress presentation. Over to you. Thanks.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Let me just share my screen. I hope it is visible.
Yes, it's visible. Thank you.
Okay, so as Dr. Lighton has said, my name is Chisomo Singogo, Masters of Computer Science. My research is automated detection of road surface defects for enhanced road safety in Zambia. Yeah, so I'll start by talking about the challenge. I think I'll just read this slide verbatim. So Zambia is facing a critical road safety crisis. Despite the severity of the issue, current road defect monitoring relies heavily on manual surveys that are slow, laborious, subjective, and time-consuming. While machine learning models have shown promise in detecting road defects globally, Zambia still lags behind. This highlights a significant gap and a pressing opportunity for developing machine learning solutions tailored to Zambia's roads. So, continuing with some of the issues, the problems, and I guess we could call it the motivation for this. So, currently, the accident rate on the roads is quite high in Zambia. So, some of the statistics are 35,000 plus incidents and 2,100 plus fatalities in 2024 alone. Then obviously this results in economic losses. So latest reports are showing 16.7 billion, which is 4.7% of GDP. Then other issues are, as Dr. Lighton highlighted, we have had some informal discussions. So we had an informal discussion with the RDA. One of the things I highlighted was also data, lack of a place to store data and information related to some of these issues. So Before I dive into what I'm doing exactly, I think it's only right that I acknowledge what others have done, because my research builds on top of research that was done last year. So these pictures are actually taken from the research that was done last year by, you can see at the bottom there, Daka, Peter, et al. Yeah, so their research was portal detection and classification system for Zambian roads, a case study of Lusaka. So their research was focusing on building a machine learning system that will automatically detect potholes. So my research builds on top of this. The plan is to make one that detects a wider variety of road defects, of which there's quite a number. So I'm not just looking at potholes, but it's going to be a wide array of defects. So research questions, I'll just read through this quickly. Number one, what are the current road defect detection practices? Associated challenges, existing quality assurance mechanisms, and the limitations and specific technological needs of Zambian road authorities. And secondly, how can machine learning models be effectively created to detect and classify key road surface defects and be integrated into a prototype application? And thirdly, how effective, usable, and useful is the developed automated defect detection system prototype in real-world Zambian conditions, particularly concerning its potential to improve objective assessment and quality control in road maintenance. So the aims and the objectives. So number one, to characterize the practices. So basically, how they doing it right now, what's currently on the ground, how are the authorities carrying out their defect detection. Then secondly, that's going to inform how the prototype will be developed, and also it will also help inform what defects should be the model should be trained to look at. And then thirdly, we have to evaluate the performance of the system, and also, yeah, how users feel about the solution that is built. So what's the significance of studying what the research that I'm doing? So firstly, obviously, it will enhance road management. So we know human beings are prone to mistakes. Human beings, yeah, someone might be tired that day, they may miss a few things. Yeah, and then obviously the goal is to improve road safety with this system. So if we can detect these defects, especially early on, uh, usually a lot of these defects don't just become potholes. They usually start off as cracks or depressions. So if some of these issues can be spotted early, it would mean, uh, yeah, I think they say prevention is better than cure. So something within those lines, before things become worse, you can rectify issues, um, which will save money in the long run, because you've sort of nipped issues before they get bigger. Then thirdly, I'm sure most of us have read through the national AI strategy. So, one of the pillars is the government, is sort of pushing and uh, encouraging collaboration between local entities and the government. And I think this type of research is a perfect example of such a thing. Then the conceptual framework, I think all of us here in the Data Lab should be familiar with this. So this is the framework I'll be using. I won't dwell too much on this because I think we know this. Then my approach, I'll be using an exploratory sequential mixed methods design to carry out this research. So pilot study. So this is building. The plan is to build a small proof of concept machine learning model. So this one will just detect one thing. I've picked on cracks. So it's just sort of a proof of concept to show that this can actually be done. Then I'll move on to the phase of investigating the current practices. So this will involve interviews. We'll also want to get the public's perception of like how they feel about the roads and how things are. Then there'll be development of the system, and then finally evaluation of the system. So the model, the pre-trained model, I think is what they call it, that will be used is YOLO. Why YOLO? It's one of the questions I've gotten from Dr. Lighton before. So these are just some of the reasons. So obviously there's alternatives like RCNN, but RCNN is slower. So YOLO is quite fast because it utilizes single shot detector, unlike RCNN, which does it in 2 stages. So YOLO is faster. Then YOLO is not as accurate as RCNN, but it's not bad. But also the other advantages are it's easier to deploy. It's very easy to deploy. Then also there's good community support. So lots of documentation, lots of resources should you run into things like bugs and all that stuff. Then it's also highly customizable. Yeah. So here's just a quick flow diagram of my methodology. So first of all, it's the ethical clearance from UNZA. Then the public perception. So this is the stage where we plan to use Google Forms, send them out, and gather information about how the public currently perceives the current situation with our roads. Then we'll have interviews with the industry experts. That will inform how we'll build the solution. And then there'll be testing and evaluation of that solution. And then all things being equal, there'll be deployment. So yeah, so I think these technologies that I'm currently thinking about using. So the back will be Python. I think it's almost a given at this point. The front will be in React, then the model, the YOLO, then yeah, I'm thinking about using things like RoboFlow for images. So I think the advantage, or the thing is, I think road defects are universal. So a portal in Zambia is still a portal in Kenya. It's quite the same. So I think using other data sets would work in my case. And a bit of a high level view of the system. I know there's quite a bit going on here. But so you have the front end application. So the frames are sent to the backend server. The server then pushes it into the model. The model does its analysis and returns information back into the backend. So some of it will be stored in the backend, but the backend also sends a response to the front end. So the idea is the video. So it'll be video that's captured using a dashboard cam. So the videos will have coordinates on the bottom left. So whenever a defect is detected, the location is also captured. So those locations will be used to help will be used to help find the location on Google Maps. Yeah, I think I have some pictures coming up. Yeah, so currently for the prototype, the UI is quite simple. It's just so like the demo, the prototype. So this is what the front end looks like. This was not built with React, but currently what happens is you have a browse files button in the top right there. So that goes into the computer, and you can select a video. Then it begins analyzing the video to detect the cracks. Yeah, so this is after it analyzes the video, it begins to detect the cracks. Hello?
Yeah, I think Chisomo has a bit of an issue with his connection. Chisomo, are you still there?
Yes, you can hear me?
Oh, we couldn't, but you can proceed now. We can hear you. Thanks.
Oh, okay. I don't know what last you heard, but yeah. So I was showing screenshots from the system, the prototype that I have. So yeah, you feed the video, it begins to detect. Um, it shows after the video is done, it will show you the locations. This was a short video, so it only has 3, just for demo purposes. Then after that, if you hover over a location, you'll be able to open it in Google Maps. And then, yeah, you can then click, and then it will take you to that location. So for system evaluation, yeah, we use this system usability scale to get the overall user satisfaction of the system. And for the machine learning model, we use IOU precision, recall, F1 score, mean average precision as well. Yeah, and then just to conclude, yeah, these are some of the next steps of ethical considerations. My current timeline, subject to change, is I'm hoping March 2026. That's currently what I'm thinking. And then the final deliverables will be a prototype system evaluation reports, a comprehensive final research report. Yeah, and that's it from me.
Thank you so very much, Chisomo. I mean, uh, I've listened to you talk about this. We've been discussing this for quite some time here, but I have a few thoughts. I mean, I'm worried that before I invite questions, I'm worried that you haven't really. It appears you haven't really thought long and hard about some of these conversations we've had, right? So I'll start with the YOLO thing here, and you probably want to still share your screen here just in case people want you to navigate to a specific slide here. But you see, the reason you're giving for YOLO, it's saying it's fast or something. It turns out that the models that you're going to be implementing are offline models, right? These are not online models. These are not things that are supposed to function like in near real time, if you will. Right? So it's almost like the processing is going to be happening offline before you present these results on on the front-facing interface on the map itself, right? That's the first question. That's the first comment here. Something to think about. So this this argument you're presenting, say it's faster here. I don't think it's valid here because your obsession should not really be on efficiency but effectiveness, right? But also, you see, YOLO is not the only single stage detector out there. Yeah, you compared YOLO with I don't know if it was deliberate here, but you're talking about RCNN or something. Well, why are we not comparing it with SDD, for instance, right? Um, or RetinaNet, for instance, right? If you just do a quick search here on single stage detectors, you notice that there's quite a number of solutions out there, right? My worry is, and this is this is the reason why I've been pushing you, Henry, and Fraser to work on the literature review, right? Because my thinking is that as you're doing this, as you're reading up, you realize that in actual fact there are alternatives out there, and once you discover that there are alternatives out there, the next logical step when you're doing research is you evaluate them, right? And you make a decision based on whatever it is you're looking for. So again, we mustn't just be saying YOLO here because everybody's using YOLO here, right? It must be informed by data. It must be objective in our choices. But incidentally, also, by the way, if we say if we're going to go with the fact that effectiveness is what we are after, then you can't run away from the fact that you're going to have to you're going to have to evaluate all these different options. Whether it's a two-stage detector, a single-stage detector doesn't really matter here. What matters is metrics like accuracy, for instance, right? Whatever other metrics that you've chosen to use here. So that's the first. And incidentally, by the way, doing this is a good idea because it may not be the case, but it may just turn out that one approach will be better for cracks, right? When compared with these other road defects. You understand? So we just must not just make assumptions here. Incidentally, also, you typically would, if you were to do a search here, you would discover that there are specialized, road defect models or surface defect models, right? I don't know if we've had a chance to look at these things here. So that's the first kind of like the first comment I had here. But more importantly, right? I know we haven't really discussed this at length after the feedback we got from RIDA. The one question that they're going to ask you, you're saying March here, somewhere after March, when you do your oral exams or something, is they're going to ask you this question, right? They may ask you this question. What is the potential use case for this? Now, based on what RIDA told us, we can't say RIDA, is it? Because RIDA seems to be well resourced, right? They seem to have like a system in place. It may not be perfect, but they have a system in place that has some sort of automated ways of trying to detect things, if you will. If that's the case, then what we need to do is make sure that we obsess a lot. And I'm glad in one of your slides you had users, city council or something, which tells me that there's a bit of thinking here after the conversation we had with RIDA, right? But also, I do believe that um, constituencies perhaps would be interested in this, right? I imagine if I'm somebody like who is the most vocal MP here, Mausam or something, I may be interested in something like this, right? So it tells me to say in Munali constituency, the places that are iffy, the places that I should be seriously thinking of directing resources to once they give us CDA funds are these areas here, if that makes sense, right? So the point here is that our use case should be shifting away from RDA more to these entities that are not in a position to do what RDA does. I thought I would mention that. And finally, right, if you go to the part where you have your methodology here, I know you go to the stage where, if you go to the part where you have your methodology, you go to a stage where you're talking about exploratory sequential mixed methods design here before that, because we've had conversations about this. But what makes this an exploratory sequential mixed methods design, I wonder?
Um, so the mixed methods part,
No, no, the mixed methods part.
Uh, well, obviously, the pilot study from what I understand, the pilot study is a qualitative part. Then,
Not
no,
quite.
it's
I
a
mean, if you look
qualitative
at
part. We're
no,
gonna
no, the pilot is not really qualitative, right? Is it?
no the interview section.
Okay, but as part of the pilot, are we interviewing people as part of the pilot study? I
No,
thought the pilot study is about developing this simple tool, proof of concept.
yes, I meant yeah. So not the pilot stuff. The interview is the qualitative um part.
Okay, here's the thing. Here's the
Yeah.
thing, and because this is important. I think it cuts across most. I was examining a PhD student from Zikas University not long ago. I was one of the examiners yesterday, literally. Not. I shouldn't use phrases like not long ago. Yesterday, we had exams, right? And his PhD. My worry is most students will just throw these things around, right? This PhD student is claiming this is the. I think he was saying it's. Is it? Did he say explanatory mixed methods design, sequential mixed methods design, or something? But if you look at his flow and how he conducted the study, no. So if you go to the next slide, right? Here's the thing. If you go to the next slide, are you no where there's a methodology? I don't know. Yes. Are you saying that? Are you saying that you will only do the interviews with experts, or are you saying that your interviews with experts are going to be informed by the results from from the questionnaire or the survey that you're going to conduct with the public? Is that what you're saying? What's
No.
the plan?
So
Okay, okay. Now here's the thing, right? So
mhm.
your classical mixed methods designs are threefold. I mean, there's more obviously. You can tie them with you can call this like an experimental kind of like mixed methods design or something where there's a bit of like experimentation. So you have like some quasi experiment or true experiment, right? Followed by interviews or something like that. But the classical types are threefold. You have what they call a convergent mixed methods design, right? Where what you're doing is you're conducting, and in fact, if you read up on your classical textbooks, for instance, like Creswell, you notice that the notation used is quant plus qual, right? So the idea there is you're conducting you're conducting the survey alongside the interviews, and then they're going to converge. This is where the name convergent mixed methods design comes from. And then the other classical type is what they'll call your explanatory mixed explanatory sequential mixed methods design. This is what you say you are doing here. Now, the explanatory mixed methods design, as the name suggests, means that the quantitative study is going to be followed by your qualitative study. So the notation is quant, arrow, qual, right? So
Mhm.
meaning that you will not do your interviews up until you get your results. In other words, it's like your quantitative results. Your survey results are going to be supported by well, they're going to inform what you're going to ask the interviewers. And that's not what you're doing here. And then the other one is what they call the exploratory sequential mixed methods design, right? Where you're starting with your qualitative study. So you start with your interviews, and then the idea is the interviews are going to help you come up with a questionnaire, right? So you don't know what you're going to put in your questionnaire, like actual questionnaire items, but the thinking is that the outcome of the interview is going to do that. But it's not what you're doing. What you're doing here, based on what you've been telling us, is it's like you're going to launch these things. In fact, the only thing holding you back here for the survey and the interviews is ethical clearance approval. Once you get ethical clearance approval, you will launch the survey. Once the responses are coming in, you start your interviews, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's a convergent mixed methods design. Now, I keep telling you guys, go and we had this AI workshop with Unza staff, and I was telling my colleagues that the problem, what is happening with most of our students is that if you look at critical thinking skills and stuff, they are becoming over reliant, right, on these tools we have lying around. So if you just go through the classic Creswell and Creswell research design, it's like this information is probably in I think less than 5 pages, probably 2 pages actually, maybe three. And it's important that you understand these things, really. Anyway, I thought I would mention that. We'll open it up to questions now, please. Thank you. I don't know if people have any specific questions for Chisomo. We're really excited with what Chisomo is doing. I'm excited. It's not really classical computer science. Most of the, if you look at the technical implementation here, there's nothing new per se. Nothing like data, we have to create a labeled data set. So it's different from what Henry is going to be doing. But yes, Kadeo has a question.
Thank you so much, Somo. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Hi.
I'm all right. Somo, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, I can get you.
Oh, thank you very much. Uh, I think for me, areas of consent which perhaps you can work on them. The first one perhaps is the font size. Please, when you are presenting, make sure that people are able to read or to see what you are presenting. Most of the wording actually were too small in terms of size. So in the near future, when you're presenting, don't assume that if you're able to see, the rest will be able to see. That's the reason perhaps other people have glasses. So I had to stress myself to follow exactly what you were saying. So one of them is the font size. Then I would dwell so much on the methodology. As earlier on, Dr. Pila has highlighted, try to find out the best research design that fits your mixed method. It will really help. You talked of the qualitative aspect, of which perhaps I'm not too sure where you use the interview to collect data from the experts. But on the quantitative aspect, I don't know if I didn't pay particular attention. You were silent. I don't know where the quantitative aspect actually will be assigned to. And you never also mentioned of what we call the questionnaire by the virtue of you adopting the mixed method, of which earlier on you indicated of the interview, but the questionnaire actually was silent, wasn't coming out. Then also on the sample size, usually when we are conducting a study, it is also ideal to know the sample size because we'll begin guessing, is it 100, 200, 300? So at least you should be able to highlight to say my sample size will be this for my study actually to be effective. Then you never mentioned of the data analysis. How are you going to analyze your data? I'm sure you talked of a software that you're going to use to analyze your data. But since you have the quantitative and the qualitative aspect, how will be the data being analyzed? And then lastly, the sampling methods that you're going to use to sample the respective perhaps respondent or participant. Earlier on, you mentioned experts from the industry. What sort of expert? Is it people that are in charge into road maintenance, which is RDA, or perhaps the council? So we need to know the methods that you're going to adopt to do your sampling methods. Without really mentioning this, actually, it affects the research in terms of the methodological part. So I believe and trust during your free time, you can have a look at what I've said. I submit, Dr. Piri.
All
Uh,
right. Yeah, thanks. But I'll let Chisomo respond here, I guess.
yeah, okay, yeah, that's I've noted those concerns. I'll work on that. So for the industry, yeah, it's the thinking was I would use what I came across something called snowball sampling. So um, I would like at RDA we spoke to some of the engineers there. So then that would then inform who to speak to next. So the way I understand snowball sampling to work is you interview one, then they will recommend who you should go to next, and then that continues until you reach I think they call it data saturation,
Mhm.
and then yeah, and then for the numbers. there's something I've forgotten what it's called. In my proposal, I did write it down, but the number of people to survey came up to 400. So there was a study that was done. Oh, there's a formula that I used. I've forgotten what it is. It's in my proposal, but the number came using the total population of Zambia. The number that it came down to was 400, at least 400 people for the sample size for that. Then for the model, in my slides, I had put precision, recall, IOU, intersection of union, for the model. I don't know if I can remember all the questions.
Maybe for 400, is 400 the target population or the sample size?
That's that's the sample size.
I feel 400 for you, it's too much. I don't know if you have the resources, that is okay, but I feel 400 it's too much.
No, but
Okay.
it's so if I can come in, you know that so you probably want to share your screen somewhere, right? Because the context is important here. What Soma is doing is targeting the general public,
Okay.
right? And really the answer you should be giving to Somo here is that the calculation, this formula that you're talking about, you should take into account the target population. So it's number 400 or something. I don't know if you dreamt it here, but it's supposed to be informed by the population size, right? The target population. So if you're saying general public here, it's like general public perception of road conditions. You don't justify this to say this is going to be like it's a survey that's going to be done online, right? It's not like it's paper-based questionnaire that you're going to put together here. And in fact, it's the reason why we've been talking to these potential cooperating partners like RD and especially the Zambia Road Safety Trust, right? The thinking is that they are going to help us, with advertising the questionnaire or something. So the number really, these are important points, by the way, is raising. The number is going to be informed by your target population. And something else I wanted to mention, Chisomo, is and I guess Somo and those of you that are going to be doing exams, like Malaysia, I don't know what the plan here is, but very, very soon you're going to be doing your Viva Voce, right? Your oral exam. And in your case, Malaysia, by the way, you have got to pass both. Like they're not just making a manuscript, right? The oral exam, you've got to pass that thing here. So it turns out that when you work on this thing over a prolonged period of time, there's this you kind of like have this illusion that people understand what you're talking about, right? You're a bit biased that way. So clearly, if you notice the questions, right? Some of the questions coming in from Dr. Kela, for instance, as a direct result of him not having context, which is why when you're planning your presentation here, you've got to be very careful what sort of information you're including in your presentation. You're restricted with time, but it has got to understand what it is, right? What it is you're doing, something like that. I thought I'd mention that. Otherwise, it will appear like you didn't do certain things and stuff. But anyway, I don't know if any other questions. I think I saw Malaysia raise his hand up or something.
Yeah, I wanted to just add something. Thank you so much, Dr. P. Thank you for that advice as well. Great stuff, Chisomo. I just wanted to ask, firstly, how come you chose cracks? Was there like a basis that I would assume, general portals would be easier, and it sounded like you were going for lowest hanging fruit, but maybe there's some reasoning behind there. Also, I heard you say you intended on finishing in March next year, and I don't know if Dr. Piri has mentioned to you, but if you intend on graduating, and I don't know if this applies for coursework and dissertation, Dr. Piri, you can guide, But if you intend on graduating next year in the May graduation, it turns out that you have to have submitted your manuscript this year before December. So I don't know if that was part of your plans. And, if not, I think you should think about it in the timelines for everything. But yeah, also I had written down some few questions. I think Dr. Piri asked some of them, but also you answered some, like how far you've gone. But it seems what's the blocker now is there about the ethical clearance. So other than that, great stuff. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this issue of time, right? I always students I work with, right? I always push them to reflect on their plan, right? And it turns out that for most students, really, I don't know, this idea of planning is a bit of an issue. And I always tell them, start off with a work breakdown structure and decompose all of your specific objectives, right, down to the smallest unit of work, and then ascribe resources and durations and start dates. That way, you'll be able to come up with a near exact approximation, right? It's an estimate, but at least it'll be much, much closer to the truth. And I say this because this much thing here, right? It turns out that you have got to send out an intent to submit like two months before you submit. So in your case, Chisomo, the thinking here is that by the time you get to October, you should have, which is like after next month, right? You should have sent an intent to submit, and perhaps you'd already be done with the manuscript or something like that, right? So there's that. Because this thing has got to be sent out to examiners, and examiners will be given anywhere between a month and 2 months to mark or something. But when you speak to, and there's a reason why I always insist, and by the way, not too happy with the fact that people seemingly don't take this serious, right? The reason why you want to attend presentations like what Malaysia has done, for instance, in the recent couple of weeks here, is that it will give you an idea of where you are going, right? So if you're planning to submit by March or something, you can easily plan, right? There's quite a bit. Malaysia will tell you that analyzing interview data, for instance, has been, no, I wouldn't really say a challenge here, but he's had to do a bit of reading up, right? When you're conducting a quantitative study, for instance, there's like both descriptive and inferential statistics that you have got to take into account. So you typically, once you launch your survey, right, it'll probably take you at least a minimum of about a month for you to get the numbers that you're looking for, if not more, actually. Once you get those results, you've got to analyze, right, the responses. When you analyze the responses, you've got to write up. So it's possible, but you're gonna have to work like crazy here. And this is why you always have to make sure that you spend quite a bit of time here thinking about your plan. But anyways, thanks, Malaysia, for that. I think Dr. Kiela's his hand up. Yes, Dr. Kiela.
Thank you, Dr. Piri. Earlier on, Somo, you said your study actually perhaps is being guided by the previous study that was conducted. I haven't seen any citation from your slides. I don't know if they are there.
They're there, sir.
Where are they?
In this slide, I don't know if this slide is visible. At the bottom there.
Perhaps I mean the intake citation. I can see Daka Peter.
Oh, okay. Index citation. I'm not. I'm not sure about that. That's something I need to do next time.
I think it's very important. Whatever you're writing, there must be a backup. Perhaps you may end up writing things from your own head, but in as much as you're thinking from your own head, there must be a backup to give a justification. That will really help, because we assume to say, oh, this is coming from yourself. But I'm sure in one or the other, you read what people have written in regards to what you are doing. you can make use of those to justify your study. Thank you, Dr. P.
Yeah, I don't know if there are any other thoughts about this or any other questions. I just wanted to mention that Chisomo, again, there's a bit of there may be a bit of like kind of like quasi experiment or something, especially as you're evaluating the tool here. So your methodology, you want to read up on that CRESO and CRESO research design text, right? Just so it's quite clear what sort of research design you're using. This is good. Thank you very much. By the way, when I went to Zambia Road Safety Trust, I was going to mention this during our meeting, but one of the things that they were receptive to was, of course, this potential collaboration, but also I hinted at the fact that the two of you, and especially Henry, I'm going to pay them a visit. They're somewhere in Woodlands, but Woodlands area, just after what more is that? The Wanika Mall or something like that. But anyway, if there are no questions, thank you very much, everybody. Next week, we're going to have Fraser do his proposal presentation as well. So Fraser, Chisomo, and Henry started their research component together, right? So what we do is I don't meet them individually. I haven't started meeting them individually. We try to meet every week as a group to discuss progress, and that has actually, I think, in my opinion, has helped in part because if you look at what they're doing from a technical perspective, most of the comments that I'll give to Fraser, Chisomo and Henry will benefit from them. But anyways, thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you next week, same time, and enjoy your weekend. Bye for now. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.